mean, the medical staff in jails, I mean, they're a bunch of fat women. I mean, what the fuck do fat women know about health? Like and subscribe. Hey, welcome to another video or another story if you're listening on a podcast. Oh. Just a quick overview is I had been in county jail for like 13 months. I had gotten super obese. At the same time as getting super obese though, like when I got to jail, I couldn't do a dip, right? Or a pull-up for that matter. My physical activities all were legs, like bicycle riding, snowboarding. I did some whitewater rafting and stuff, but not enough to like build, muscle behind that. I never really had jobs that were like, super physical hard labor stuff. So I just didn't have that development. I remember in high school even just having hella times with pull-ups and all that shit. So, and I've got a totally bunk, not from high school, but from probably about 19 years old, this shoulder, constantly pain. So I was like eating like a pig because I was trying to gain muscle. And there was really no good source of clean protein, especially because I was a vegetarian. I was a vegetarian through my entire thing in prison, right up until the very, very end. And I had been a vegetarian for years before that, even a vegan at one point. Honestly, when I was doing all that vegetarian and vegan stuff, I honestly didn't know what I was doing like I do now. Or like that was one of my courses of study when I was in prison. I just totally, every single thing I could get, diet, nutrition. I mean, I probably have like a college degree in diet nutrition at this point. I read so many books and so many articles and had so many hundreds of hours of discussion with other guys that were like me that were reading on this stuff and all that. So now I know, and that's how I started to shift. Really, I didn't really fully shift until I didn't know what my blood type was. That was my final shift. But I've always eaten like good food. I've never been like a junk food eater. So eating in jail, it was just disgusting. So I was on a religious-based vegetarian diet. So I like beans and rice every meal. So, I mean, I was 200 and somewhere between like 235 and 245, I would say it was the highest I ever got. Maybe even 250, maybe, I don't know. There is a lot of availability to scales in jails. So I was weighing myself quite often. So when I got to prison, I looked like some crazy guy just came out of the fucking hillbilly style or something, because I had not shaved not one time the whole time that I was in jail. Like, I was super anal about the cosmetic stuff. Like, I wouldn't use their deodorant because it had aluminum in it. And no thanks. You can keep your Alzheimer's juice, thanks very much. I literally tried to get fucking aluminum-free deodorant in jail. And, I was just always met with like, oh, you're crazy. I mean, the medical staff in jails, I mean, they're a bunch of fat women. I mean, what the fuck do fat women know about health? They absorb all the bullshit that the fucking medical organizations have to fucking feed them, but it ain't not one of them fucking healthy. They don't even know the first fucking thing about health, right? And these are the people that are divvying out the health advice. So trying to get aluminum-free pit stick was met with like, oh, you should shower more frequently, paying close attention to the armpit, like. So you're telling me how to fucking take a shower? Is your answer to aluminum in the fucking pit stick? Yeah, okay, fat chick. Shut the fuck up now. You're a moron. That's what's in my head every day. Like, seriously, being at a higher intellectual level, and I'll gladly fucking post my IQ test results. I have a lot of stuff that I save. The problem is, it's all in my shipping containers, and I don't really have access to it until I have somewhere to put it out of the elements. So I have all this stuff. But anyway, yeah, like beating your head against the wall on shit like that all the time. I mean, getting sent to the crazy dorm for commenting on the water quality. Like, because the cop's not drinking out of the fucking same thing. He takes his little water bottle and leaves, fills it up, comes back, and I'm like noticing this shit, make a little comment, and now I'm crazy. Okay, so anyway, back to the conversation at hand. I put on a lot of weight. I had like huge legs. That's all I've ever had is huge legs, huge calf muscles. But that, I was just kind of a skinny with a little bit of a belly here and there, depending on the time of the year. So I had been big like that once before when I was living with my grandparents, and I went on like the slim fast diet, literally, and it worked for me, and I fucking kept the weight, never let it get like, I think I was like 235 at that point, right? Now I'm in prison, and I'm just horribly out of shape, and there's beautiful exercise equipment and sports and just whatever you want to do at that point. I had learned enough about fat to know that basically if you have any fat, that fat that you have, if it's more than a certain amount of what you're supposed to have, that fat, you'll just gain more fat, and you'll always have that original fat and every other bit of fat that you've accumulated on that fat. So I was like, you know what, I've had fat since I was like 15 or something like this. My mom's high carb diet, here, eat more bread, so eat more rice. So I started losing weight like crazy, and I'd hit plateaus. I would get to a certain point where I wasn't losing any weight. I was weighing myself like every fucking day, and just all day long, just measuring exactly how much food I was eating. I'd use these yogurt cups. So, and then I'd get to a plateau, and then I'd cut the food down again, and then I'd lose a bunch of more weight, and then I'd get down to another plateau, and then I'd cut the food again. And I was freaking cutting it so much. I wasn't hardly eating anything. I mean, it was really, so I was down to like 160 something, 167 maybe kind of comes to mind, right? And then I don't remember what happened, like what the fucking deal was. I have no recollection. It might have even been as simple as something like saying some smart ass shit in front of a guard about somebody or something. I don't even remember. But I got sent to the hole while I was in prison camp, right? So the hole for prison camp was the Las Vegas county jail system. So they basically take you to jail, right? And that jail, I mean, I was eating like 6 times a day on a whole schedule, and doing this whole thing. And I got to that jail, I couldn't get a diet. They were just giving me, meat. So I ended up losing even more weight. I think I was there for like 1 week, and I don't think anything ever came of it. They call them a shot, or it's a write-up, like getting a ticket in jail. You get a shot, and there's levels, level 1, 2, 3. I may or may not have got, I can't remember. And the whole timing of the thing, I can't really remember either. I mean, I believe it was pretty early in my whole stay because of the whole weight loss timing thing. So I got to prison heavy, and then I, lost a bunch of weight, and in that process I went to, so it must have been in the first few months, 6 months or something, I don't even know. And I remember one of the biggest downfalls for that was when I got there, I got hooked up with all nice new clothing. I mean, all the clothes were basically the same, but there was subtle differences in quality, and then whether it was a new piece of clothing or just used, right? So when I first got there, it was a real cute lady that was handing it out. She hooked me up with real nice brand new boots, size 14. I need the big boots, and so everything was very nice, right? Well, I got back from the hole, and all my shit was stolen. If you go to the hole, people get word and they go to your bunk and they take all the stuff of yours. So say you have a nice mattress, or if you have a nice pair of boots or pants or shirts, doesn't matter. All that shit gets looted by people that have been already eyeing your shit. Just figuring out how they're gonna steal it from you. And going to the hole or the jail or whatever you want to call it is about the quickest way to get your shit stolen, right? Yeah, I got out of jail and went back to the camp. The time I was there, I was in jail. I was in the cell with another guy that was from the camp, like me. Well, it turns out that guy was a fucking cop. I mean, a full there, and there was no shortage of cops and border patrol getting busted for taking bribes. That's where they would end up. So there was a lot of fucking, and generally, cops are cops, even when they're in prison. At one point I was there working with the fucking judge in the dump. Yeah, I mean, and it's you don't really have a whole lot of choice, and at that security level, you can't be this huge rat snitch bashing, or none of that shit goes on. As a matter of fact, it progressed to the point where I was being tailed around this fucking prison by other prisoners, just trying to fucking catch me doing shit to tell on me. It was just fucking insane. I got back to the prison camp, and I pretty much at that point, I was good. I didn't want to put on fat. You have to kind of have a little bit of fat to build muscle. You just can't, it's in prison, you just can't eat that perfect lean meal, that whole thing it just doesn't happen in prison. So, I mean, there's the protein powders outlawed in federal prison. Creatine powders outlawed in federal prison. So, I did end up getting a hold of all that stuff at a point. That's a story for another day. So yeah, I think maybe I got down to about 155. And people would joke, they're like, hey, get off the pipe, like I was smoking crack in prison or something. And it's a lot of them didn't understand, really wanted to eliminate all that internal body fat. I wanted to totally burn off every bit of fat that I had from whenever, and just basically fucking start over fresh, So at this point, the oldest fat in my body is 18 years old. So 19 years since I did that. Now, I did another fasting thing later on, a fasting flush before I got out. And that took me down as well. I don't know if there was any, I mean, I didn't ever get anywhere. I was like, I don't think I ever got below like 185 since then. So like 155 is just insane. I lost a lot of muscle too. But when I started putting muscle back on, and really it didn't even take effect until I got out of prison and was able to get all those supplements. And then it was like, and I found that I didn't like that. I didn't like that having to untuck my arms from my back all the time. Like I had this constant feeling like they were hung up on each other, and just the huge amount of eating and shakes and all this that you just have to be pounding all the time to maintain that, you know. So yeah. Anyway, that's the story of my rise and fall of weight. This is just early in the prison sentence. So, and actually, I will now jump back in time for the next story because I remembered something I had forgotten about way back. So, stay tuned, like, subscribe. Thank you very much. Peace.